So, since stream's already started, but I know no one's here. So whoever's here may ask, so how has everybody's night been going so far? Hopefully a few people begin showing up. So, hey, Brandon, how you doing? Trying to find Jimmy C's thing. Yeah. And Jimmy's here on Hangouts. There he is. Yeah. That's your impression. Yeah, it's people like that make me mad. Hey, Willie, what are you doing? Post link again. There. Yeah, Brandon, that might be the way to go. It's always one thing after another with old equipment. Fix something else breaks. It's just an infinite cycle of repairs. Hey, Luke, how you doing? Whew, that's price. $500 is pretty freaking extreme, Brandon. That's that's ridiculous. Hey, Stacy, how you doing? I'll show that message for a while. Well, Luke, I've been battling this head cold for the past 3 to 4 days, so I decided today, since I still didn't feel good, I figured I'd just stay home. Hey, Greg, how you doing? And, so Craig, Sunday I'm gonna go to a. Hopefully this Sunday I should be going to a auto show. Hopefully. Catmint. Yes, Stacy, exactly. What is a weekend? It was decent, Craig. It was decent, but battle on a head cold, so it made it not. Well, it made it miserable. Let's just say that. Yeah, hopefully, Jimmy gets that comment. StreamYard almost dropped. Not good. Exactly, Craig. Exactly. So what wants to happen? No, Stacey, you might have to. Might have to. Yeah. Oh, for all we know, he probably could have just got one of those little pea shooter water guns. That's all I could think of is would just be one of those little bitty pea shooters. Pea shooter pistol. Just keep hoping. Just keep hoping. Oh, really, Stacy? So it's a big pea shooter, not a little pea shooter. That's actually pretty. That Brandon, that's actually not bad for used hydraulic pump. I've been doing some part searching online for the old Cub Cadet. I think I'm gonna get rebuild kit for his steering box, a new key switch, and a new transmission cooling fan. That's quite the pea shooter there, Stacy. Tonight's just gonna be one of those nights where I think this is gonna be one of those real easy and slow streams. That's a pretty good size, Stacy. It's pretty good size. You can stick your head in there. Yeah, Brandon, that's one thing I'd be worried about how good that pump is and hoping and praying that it doesn't leak. But you never know. You may get lucky and it might not leak and it might work. I shared the stream out to my Facebook, so hopefully a few people will pop in. We've been retaining 6 people so far, so we're doing good. This is one of those streams where I really have absolutely nothing to say. So hopefully I can keep this up for 3 hours. I shared the stream out to Facebook and Hangout, so hopefully we get a few more people in. Well, Stacy, don't have to think about it. Maybe I will shoot you now. No, Stacy, I may have to. Now you're sitting here saying that. Maybe next time I'll have to go buy a water gun, and then we can do a live water gun fight. Just like a fake live water gun fight. Just to entertain the viewers. Hey, Kathy, how you doing? It would really help if I could spell. I can't spell. Okay, it's just one of those nights I can't spell either. I'm doing good, Kathy. I've been bad on a head cold for the past 3 to 4 days, and ended up staying home from school today due to that head cold. I'm hoping I can keep this stream going for 3 hours. Hopefully. I just hope I don't fall asleep before then. Oh, you got someone. There he is.
You got a hook. Oh, my. What's up, brother?
Not much other than this head cold's been kicking my butt.
I tell you what, days like that, and unfortunately, they're a pain in the butt. They're no fun to deal with, and usually they drag on for several days, but, it's part of that age thing. You go through that kind of stuff, and sometimes it gets better, sometimes it gets worse. But if you get, they say if you get a virus and you can kick the virus out and you get over it, you don't get that same strand again. I don't know if I believe that or not.
Yeah, neither do I. I remember the one time I had a head cold last year, and it stayed for about a month. That was not fun.
Sometimes diet can affect that a little bit, but what I have found that works for me is if you get those head colds, if you can just munker into something and just burn up a bunch of energy, usually it will help subside that a little bit.
Yeah.
The sweat and raw work sometimes will make that stuff go away.
Yeah, I went for a bicycle ride for the other night. It felt great. So I do road and street cycling. So last night I decided I was going to hop on my bike and just go for a quick hour round trip.
Yeah, that's one of the things I liked about the winter season in school. Basketball is a really good way to get that energy moving and that blood moving and to do away with a lot of that head gunk that you end up having with sinus pressure and stuff. Just actually sweating and having that energy exerted into something usually will, one, take your mind off of it. Two, sweating that stuff out of your pores usually helps some.
Yeah.
Yeah, and lemons, lots of lemons. The wife says lots of lemons.
If I could stand lemons, I'd do that. But lemons are way too strong for me.
Well, cut them down and blend them with oranges. You might not like lemons all that well, but if you mix it with orange juice, actual orange, squeezed orange juice, that will make it a lot more palatable.
Yeah, may have to try that.
There's Tate. What do you say, Nate? How you doing, brother? Something else that always seems to work too is just anything with a lot of kick to it. Some hot peppers or a good spicy bowl of chili or something. Or something that's got a lot of raw cinnamon. Not so much sugar, but raw cinnamon will burn a lot of that stuff as well.
Yeah. Well, Andrew, to answer your question, that head cold, I've been having a head cold, I've been battling for the past 3 to 4 days, and today I decided since I wasn't feeling good, I was just going to take a personal day and relax. Because I didn't miss a day of school last year being sick, and I was like, I kind of deserve it.
Yeah, once in a while, it doesn't hurt to have them days where you just curl up in bed and push the world away from you.
Yep. I got at least 9 hours and 45 minutes of sleep last night. I felt great, too.
I don't doubt that one bit. Unfortunately, the weather's starting to cool down, and we still have all these green plants and pollen and all that dust and everything, and it's going to make it a rough allergy season, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And just when you think the humidity is going to lower down a little bit, you get a forecast of rain. So
yeah,
we're supposed to have rain all weekend.
Yeah. I think this weekend, I know Saturday and Sunday it's supposed to be clear, but we did get rain today. We got a thunderstorm, and the lightning and thunder out there is just wicked.
Did you get your chance to play with doxyacetylene at all this week, or is it next week?
I think that's next week.
You'll enjoy that. Just wear your welding gloves and just remember to get your puddle started, and then push your puddle with the tip of the torch.
Yeah.
Small circles, and just keep your puddle flowing in front of you, and you'll do fine. It's an amazing experience.
I don't know if I'll
Probably
get.
by far one of my favorite welds to do is an oxyacetylene weld.
I think like one of these times if we do an open lab, I think I'll just practice doing brazing. Spend 2.5 hours practicing brazing.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's by far it's a lot of heat, but if you can deal with the heat from the gas flame, you'll enjoy the weld. I mean, sweating a bead is like nothing else.
Yeah.
There's an art form to it, and it's actually relaxing once you get into the hang of it.
Yeah. And I figured I'd just throw a link in there in case you wanted to pop in and say hi quick.
Tater, you're always welcome. You know that, brother.
Yeah. Brazing will come in handy in the future. That's one of the best things. If I go to get a job, at least I can say I know someone how to braze.
Yep. You know, the other side of that too is you flip the tip off and put the torch tip on, and you can do both with the same unit. So cut and weld at the same time.
Yep. Because that's like the way Heart ones. That's where we cut our. That's where we're cutting heat steel is just using the torch.
Yeah, it's going to become a lost art with plasma cutters and CNC machines and the industrial bandsaws and the cutoff wheels and stuff. The cutting torch is kind of a lost art. So is the brazing. There are not a lot of people that do that anymore.
Yeah. That's one of those things I'll probably very rarely, if not using on a job, but it's one of those things that will come in handy if I do have to do it.
Yep. Like I said, I enjoy it. It's just kind of a lost art, if you will.
Yeah, it's a art. It's a hard art to master. Well, Brandon, that's quite the deal on a pump there, Brandon, for a pump for a cub. Yeah, pretty much most of the trucks we have over that diesel class are Volvos and Freightliners. But we do have an old GMC and an old Mac.
I like all those old machines. I know that the new machines and the suspension and stuff, hey, Farmall, how you doing, brother? The new machines and stuff are a lot more efficient, but they just don't have the style of the old equipment.
Yeah. GMC dump truck out back. It's got a 454 in it.
Nice.
Did you hear me? The kids rebuilt the about it, and they said that truck don't want to run right after that rebuild because they said it pops and backfires out the carb a lot.
We got a jet that is not flowing right or something. It's not spraying good. Why is that, Farmall? That's just who I am. It's my voice.
Oh, that sucks. I had to miss that, Andrew. Today I'm not there. They get to drive one of the Volvos.
You're not doing anything, Farmall. You can come up here and hang out with Robert and I.
Georgie's playing with his bell.
There, Farmall. The link's in. I put the link in the chat if you want to join in.
I don't know if you've used StreamYard before, Farmall. It's pretty simple. Just click the link and it will take you in. You put in your name and you can select camera or you use a avatar picture like I've got if you want. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, I do have a deep voice, unfortunately. I can't stand to hear my own voice, but everybody else seems to think that it's a cat's meow. So,
But the old Mac we have is an old 5-speed. I think it just needs a new starter put on it.
That shouldn't be too difficult.
Yep. But it's got a straight pipe on it, and it likes to blow a lot of smoke.
Yeah, they put a longer pipe on it, a muffler, and then put a tailpipe out the back. It'll calm all that down.
Yep. We do have a lot of old Detroits. We have a couple old Internationals and a couple old Cats. And a couple old Cummins 855s, too.
Hey, Pat, how you doing, brother?
Hey, Willett, how you doing?
Are you doing a lot in the ag class then? Or just mainly bookwork right now?
Yeah, mainly book work and some lab stuff. A lot of safety stuff.
That's important. You get around that heavy equipment, and it's good to know what's safe and what's not safe. A lot of moving parts and things. It doesn't take a whole lot for somebody to get hurt around that equipment.
Yeah.
That's one thing that farmers do have a rough job. I mean, I would think that it's probably one of the roughest professions in the world. You got to depend on the weather and your equipment and everything else. It's definitely not an easy task.
Yeah. Our instructor was telling us there's this one time they had a tire guy come into that class like a few years ago. And the guy walked in and his instructor asked him why you got such a long craze. And he's like, we lost a guy. And our instructor's like, what do you mean you lost a guy? Supposedly that guy out doing a service call on a truck. Yep. They had a bad tire out on the side of the highway. He was jacking the truck up, did everything pretty much like he was supposed to, but was on gravel. And that truck slid and that trailer pretty much crushed the guy and killed him instantly.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a lot of weight, and you got to make sure that everything's secure. You know,
Our
and definitely
also
not having a flat surface to change a tire on.
Yeah.
Can
Our
make.
instructor was also telling us here a horror story. Some horror stories of guys working under the front of trucks and having them slide off jack stands and having the front axles crush guys.
Yeah, I never ever crawl underneath the vehicle without a jack stand, and usually I'll have two jack stands instead of just one. It's amazing to me that people will think about it and they'll rely on a hydraulic jack to be strong enough and, you know, have the faith that that jack won't fail. I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah, neither am I. Yep. That's the one thing I've always remembered. Never rely on hydraulics to hold something.
Not only that, but, you know, if you got one part of the vehicle up in the air, chalk the wheels on the other wheels that are on the ground, because you never know what might happen.
Yeah, because the way we jack our trucks up, if we have to do like get the front ends off the ground, what we do is we always release the parking brakes, jack them up, get them right where we need them, set them on jack stands, put the parking.
Yeah, oftentimes I'll lift all four wheels off the ground and put jack stands underneath the vehicle. But, you know, it's the other part of that too. When I'm doing that, I'm using 6-ton jack stands. So each jack stand's rated for 6 tons.
I think our biggest jack stands are rated around 6 to 10 tons.
Oh my!
So,
look at that.
Farmer, if you're still here and you want to come in, I put the link down in the chat for you if you want to come in. If you're still here.
And Farmall has some of the most interesting equipment that you'll find in the farming industry. A lot of the old Farmall tractors and the Internationals and stuff are all really kind of neat machines, but they are definitely on the dangerous side of things. Hey, Willie.
Where's everybody been?
Everybody's in the middle of the late fall spring fever, I think. I don't know about anywhere else, but our grass is still green as the day is long.
Oh, yeah, same here.
You know, we're at October, and it's as green now as it was at the beginning of spring. The only thing that's started to change are the leaves are starting to fall off the trees. So
yeah, that's how it is up here. We're getting color change, but the grass is still having to be mowed.
Hey, It's down to 88 degrees in my garage right now.
Nice. That's a record.
Yeah, I think the high we had up here today was 67 or 68.
Oh, get out of here, man.
Yep.
We had a high at 92, and it's 78 now. So
Yeah, right now it is 66 degrees. But tomorrow we're going to have another high of 68, and then Sunday a high of 65.
yeah, everywhere I would say north of I-80 is getting into that fall cool weather. We're still in that end of summer weather here. So
Yeah, next, I think it's Monday, I want to say it's supposed to peak 87.
yeah. We've got thunderstorms moving in. There's lightning and stuff outside now, and the wind's been blowing nonstop all day. So
That's how it was up here, where we had the wind and the rain and the thunderstorms hit tonight. It's like, oh, here we go. Lights flickered on and off for a quick second, about a half hour, maybe 20, 25 minutes ago.
yeah, Kathy and I went out to the barn the other day and was going to turn the lights on in the barn, and evidently there was a problem with our power coming into the barn and blew up 2 of my LED lights in the barn. So now I've got to replace some lights in the barn. There's never a dull moment.
In the barn?
Yep. I have one light in the center of the barn, and it's a floodlight. So in order to see anything inside the barn at all, I have to open up one of the roller doors. It's pitch black inside there in the middle of the day. And we're getting that wonderful weather where it'll be about 12 degrees colder inside the building than it is outside. That's what Stacy said when he was here. We were loading that toolbox up. It's the coldest place he's ever been inside that building.
Huh. It always seems like inside metal buildings, it's way colder than outside for some reason.
Yeah, it makes a good refrigerator. That's without a doubt. In the wintertime, you can guarantee it's cold inside the building.
You see, Stacy got the big guns out.
He did. He said that gun's 30 feet long.
Sun's out, guns out.
Yep. Exactly.
He's headed to the land of raisins, too.
He texted me. I texted him back. I said, I bet you won't get no tailgaters on the ride.
He had those Humvees on the back of it on his way to North Carolina, and somebody turned the park lights on in one of the Hummers. So,
battery's dead?
While I was sitting on his trailer, they turned the lights on, the park lights on that Humvee. It was on his trailer. And people don't really have any common respect for other people's stuff.
My crazy neighbor down the road, he's got like 3 Humvees in his yard, plus a bunch of like utility trailers for him. And right before he got arrested, he started up the Humvee in his backyard and left it running and left and ran and just left the Humvee running. It was running for 3 days, just sitting there idling.
Right. That's a lot of fuel.
I know.
If it's a diesel, he'll have a time getting it primed if it ran completely out of diesel fuel.
That guy's off the Richter. He's off the Richter scale crazy, man. Like nobody knows why he does what he does.
Oh, he's one of those people.
Yeah.
All
he's in jail now. He's been in jail for like a year now.
All I have to say is drugs are bad.
Yeah, right. And
yeah, we got some new neighbors that moved in, and I don't have any warm, fuzzy feelings about them. Oh, trust me, dude, I've seen them.
When I bought this house, he was in jail, and he had a Ford Mustang GT or a Saline. I think it was a Saline Mustang. And he had a tarp he was in jail, so he had a tarp on the roof, and then he had the tarp going inside the doors. And it sat like that for like 3 years. And the tarp started to disintegrate and everything, and it's like flopping and in the wind and hitting the side of the car. And I mean, this is like a $50,000 car, man. I'm not even joking.
Take care, Willie.
See you, Willie.
He just left it to rust.
It's sad too because you put a tarp over a car like that, and nothing beats a finish up worse than an actual tarp because it's got all those fibers in it, and you get the wind whipping across it, and it'll scratch the crap out of the paint.
Yep. What about the tarp going inside the doors though? They opened the doors and then put the tarp in and then closed it. Wouldn't that break the seal of the door?
It does, and it also allows water to run between the glass and the tarp.
That's what I was thinking. Like the floorboard is probably covered in mold and who knows what else.
I don't know how many people own cars that the glass goes into the rubber seal of the door jamb, but the best thing to do with that is to wash those seals with dish soap and water, because then that allows the glass to stick to that rubber and creates a good seal. Hey, Wilkerson's Mower Shop, how you doing?
Hey, Wilkerson's, how you doing?
Holy. I think my neighbor taking his bed out.
He's probably spent more time locked up than he has in his house.
He's been in jail. I've lived here 9 years now, and he's been in jail most of the time. He's only been out of jail like 1 or 2 years.
Makes you wonder what he does to make the house payment on that place.
Well, that's the weird thing too. He's got all those Hummers. He's got like boats, and he's got an old Corvette, motorcycles, like custom choppers. He's got a couple of custom motorcycles. He was in the military, but he went to jail for something, and he's got a lot of money laying around in that yard.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's probably somebody that's gone astray, and probably won't ever be anybody to bring you back to square. I hope that he gets back on his feet and gets things squared away, but chances are he'll probably never get himself situated to be productive again.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he was out, and all he had to do was not get in trouble. And he managed to get in trouble again. I forget what he did.
I was looking at cars on Craigslist here, and it just so I could see what I could find for like Impalas. And I found a nice 2008 Impala with 106,000 miles on it, and needs a new front clip and left fender in the front end, left front.
That'd be a nice
$700.
My stepdad had
I looked at the price. I looked at what the guy was asking. $700 is what he wants for the whole thing.
The only downside that those old Impalas had was that there was a lot of rust in the bottom of them, and you'd have to crawl underneath it and look at it. But if it's been garaged well and kept in a dry environment, that might be a good buy.
Because I looked at the other pictures of the body, absolutely, I didn't see any rust on the body at all.
Yeah, those are like the old Camaros where the trunk pans and the floor pans can usually be a nightmare that you don't see until you get in the middle of it.
He said it was a 2000, didn't he?
No, he said it's
2008.
What year?
2008.
Oh, 2008. I thought you said a 68.
No. 08, 106,000 miles. It got smashed in the left front. Just needs that new left front fender and a new clip. $700 for the whole car. It's only got 106,000 miles on it.
That's
a front wheel drive.
That's a front wheel drive V6. That's like the police car, isn't it, Horse?
No, this is just rear 08 LS, I think.
Yeah, it's got the engine in it sideways.
No, it's got the 3.8 liter.
The rear wheel drive, would it? The 2000.
The The 2008 V6 is just regular front wheel drive, but I know they made the Super Sport version, which had the 5.3 with the transverse mount to make a front wheel drive.
Right.
This is just the LS trim level with the 3.8 liter V6 and that 4-speed automatic. I mean, $700 is cheap.
Yeah.
Well, the engine is worth $700 by itself. You know, you scrap the rest of the car. That 5.3 is a good engine for a lot of the square body trucks. A lot of guys that are pulling those 5.3s out and putting them in square bodies with the computers and the fuel injection and all that. They're getting the harnesses and the ECM set up and programmed pretty reasonable anymore. You can buy a wiring harness and a computer for probably about $700 and retrofit it into a square body Chevy pickup.
Because I know some of the like the 5.3s and stuff around me at scrap yards go for about between $300 and $450. So around $300 to $450 is how much you can pick up, a junkyard 5.3 for.
Yeah, pick and pull around here, you can get them on sale for half price about 4 times a year if you can find one in the truck for about $100 a pull, but you have to pull it out yourself. So
yeah, that's a cheap motor swap.
well, not only that, but if the car's fixable and drivable, that 5.3 will last for a long time as long as you keep the maintenance up on it.
I gotta cut out engines. I'm tired.
Tired? You have a rough week?
You wouldn't even know.
Seems like everybody's been having a rough week.
Car broke down, bought a new car, AC broke down the same day.
Yeah, you got that working, didn't you? Is that all still working?
Yeah, I put a new motor in the AC myself and then got it back going.
Sweet.
But yeah, I gotta get out of here, guys. I'm about to fall asleep.
All right, brother. Thanks for dropping in.
No problem. Good show, Horace.
Thanks.
Keeping Robert company here, getting his Friday night live stream off the ground a little bit. I got a message in Hangout that said that Jimmy C is going to be a little late, but he'll be in. And then Client Graphics, I think, is going to be in after a bit too. So that should be kind of interesting. I always enjoy talking to Chris. He's
that'd be cool.
Always got a lot going on and super into all that kind of mechanical stuff. So
I think it was last Friday Client
I'm
Graphics.
guessing Stacy's in the road.
And
yeah, I always enjoy having a conversation with Chris. He's always got a lot of knowledge of things and pretty level-headed and real super relaxed, and we have a good time talking. So
yeah, y'all got to remember it's 9:00 here, 9:30 or 9:13.
No doubt, brother. We know you get up early at the break of day, and you're running hard all day. So
yep. I'll talk to y'all fellas later.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Bye.
See ya. I think it was last Friday Client Graphics. I think he actually stopped in for a bit.
Yeah. He said he was going to be in tonight, and he said to give him about 20 minutes or so. So he was putting his kids to bed.
Yeah. I know Jimmy C said he'll be a little late, but hopefully he's hoping to show up.
Yeah, I imagine he will. I think that they've got one of their group channels is live right now. So I don't know if he's in there with them or what's going on. I think that they've got one of their newer group members is doing kind of like a first live stream or something. So
Let me see if I can run this. I'm hoping I'll fall asleep. I'm hoping to try and go 3 hours.
Shouldn't be too hard to do. Have you got any more wood projects lined up for the lathe?
Not yet. I've been trying to think of projects. I just need to get my get the sharpening stone for my tool so I can sharpen the tip on it.
That'd be handy. Another thing that I was thinking about is you could make you an old fashioned file handle. Turn a handle for putting on files. Have you ever seen the old fashioned file holders where they have the just a wooden handle and then they've got basically a hole drilled in it, and then you stick the tine of the file in there, and then they use 2 U channels that are tapered to lock that file into the handle.
I think I've seen those, but I can't quite remember. What I'd like to do is get a nice chunk of wood and get a handle and get an old hammer head and redo it and do a nice hammer, like a mallet or something.
Yeah. Another thing you could do too is you could turn a spindle and make a lamp out of a spindle. A wooden lamp.
I have a
Turn kind of a design.
No, I've actually thought about making a. I thought about that actually. I've actually thought about making a lamp, but making like a connecting rod and then turning a piston and putting wood spark plugs on each side and putting some little LED bulbs in there and making a little piston lamp.
That'd be neat. Exactly. Wilkerson.
About that.
File handles. A lot of the old file handles used to be pretty nice, and nowadays you just have the plastic handles that the files slide into. They don't have as much style, I don't think, as the hardwood handles. I'd like to see you turn some more bowls, but you're gonna have to have some nice pieces of wood to do that with.
Yeah, I got some wood drying out right now. I got some walnut drying up, and I know that poplar, not the poplar, but the what's it called, is still drying that I got.
Yeah, I've got some oak trees that got some branches and trunks that are laying on the ground. I need to cut some chunks out of those, and we get up to Michigan, maybe we can run them by to you and make you some American walnut. Would be kind of nice to turn some stuff out of, without a doubt. Some American walnut and some oak trees. I think we've got some of the red oak trees on our property. We've got several branches and stuff laying around on the ground. Welcome back, Earl.
Welcome back, Earl. I think I got backs all over. I'm not sure. It's a real nice coloration pattern too. See if I can find it.
Sycamore's good wood, and some of the maples are nice too.
Yeah, I know that that walnut bowl and that purple heart bowl that I made, those are both pretty much up for sale.
And both of those are really nice bowls.
So they're going to be pretty much up for grabs soon. Once that box alder gets dried out really good, that's when I'm going to cut it down to the length I want and turn that. I think if I make that box alder one, that may be the one I keep instead of selling.
Yeah, it'd be a nice wood piece to have. And box elder, when it's finished, it looks really nice.
Wilkerson's, I don't know if I'd be able to do anything with sycamore. I don't know what the characteristics of it are, so. I've turned poplar before, and I found poplar and red oak turn really easy.
Yeah. A lot of the harder woods cut pretty easy on a lathe because if you got a sharp bit, it tends to chip really nice.
Yeah. Yep. I think I'm gonna ask $35 for the walnut one and $45 for the Purple Heart one, which I think is fair.
Yep, without a doubt. I think it's a little bit on the low side, but
Yeah, they're pretty much for sale. I just gotta find the right customer.
The birds are going crazy
I think
tonight.
I may this next Sunday. I think next Sunday I may oil them up and take some good photos of them all oiled up so they look really shiny and post them on my personal Facebook page and just see what happens.
And the wife has figured out how to use a Windows 10 program to make videos out of pictures. I think it's Video Editor or something. You can put pictures in there and it'll sequence it out into a video. You can load it on YouTube as well.
I may have to hit her up on how to do that.
She got pretty good at it. You know, she made the Small Nation calendar that way. So, and she's done a couple other videos with some of her craft projects just by using photos in the video, and it'll do each photo for a certain time segment. I mean, you can control the timing.
Hey, there's
Chris. How you doing,
Chris?
Guys, what's up? How's it sounding tonight? I got a new little Jabra microphone thing I'm trying out.
Oh, nice. Chris has always got something interesting in his shop to play with.
What can I say? It was a rough day today. I don't know about you guys. It was a long
week for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Robert's been fighting a head cold. So.
I know someone that has a chunk of ironwood, and they asked me if I'd be able to do anything else. I'm like, yeah, ironwood's a pretty hard wood, so turning it would be a challenge.
Yeah, so I was opening this tonight. I didn't have a bottle opener, but I had a pair of
that'll work.
These here. Oh, Craftsman
Vice grip.
Yeah, that's it. There we go.
Those will work.
Yeah, it's one of those regular. There we go. Perfect.
I would say just put a piece of flat steel in your vise and catch the edge of that bottle cap on that flat steel and give it a pop.
Yeah, you want to know what the real funny story is? This arm, I don't know if you watch some of those videos where I tortured those 3/8 inch drive ratchets. Man, I must have pulled something.
Wow.
It just it's got a little tingly feeling that I gotta wait till it just starts feeling a little bit better. It's kind of like I whacked my elbow on something. I don't know.
You might try getting one of those bands that goes right across your forearm. You might have pulled that. I think they call it a bursa muscle or something.
I don't know. It's like right in here.
Yeah.
And then a little bit on my elbow, and I don't know. I mean, Robert, you might know the same. Have you ever just started sanding something that you just weren't really, you just weren't ready to sand, and you probably sanded for hours or something like that, and you're just like, oh, I just found muscles that I didn't know existed.
Yep. I'll do that sometimes. I'll be sanding, I'll feel my arm get sore. It's like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. Do you ever watch Gary Ramsey Turbo Cobra? Ramsey Custom Turbo Cobra, Chris?
I haven't. I'm sorry. I might. Actually, I might have. I mean, I'm not really good with things unless like it's seriously stuck in my mind over and over and over again, or I put a face with a name.
Yeah, he does a lot of machine shop work. He's in Texas. And one of the things he has trouble with is kind of like tennis elbow. He's got one of those forearm wraps, and it just applies pressure right to the top side of your forearm.
Mm-hmm.
It helps with those nerve tingling and some of that tennis elbow kind of stuff. If I get to working with an impact driver a lot or a drill, I'll tend to have where you just kind of get that sharp pain or that numb sensation in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of the muscle in your forearm is got nowhere to expand to. So you're using that muscle and it's growing, but it doesn't have any room. So then it tends to push on your nerves, and you can feel it from about the mid part of your hand all the way up to the just right above your elbow. You can feel that sharp pain.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Horse, I can't remember. Man, you used to do, like, in the summertime, man, you used to do lives all the time. And how's school or how's work going these days for you?
I don't have a job yet.
Hey, you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. You're still young.
Yep.
What kind of job are you looking for?
Yeah, pretty much anything, but I know I know a few people. My dad works at a little factory over like half hour away from my place, so I may try and get a job there. So I know people there, so just be easier for me to get in.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, my oldest daughter, she's in college, and we've been bugging her to get a job to help, pay some of the extra things that she likes to spend her money that she doesn't have on. And she's given me tons of excuses how not to find a job or what job she can't do. But the one thing she hasn't done is actually got a job. So, I mean, if you don't apply at any place, you can't get a job for sure. I can tell you that much. But I can tell you exactly which jobs she doesn't want to get and which jobs she is totally qualified for, but she feels like she's too good to work at.
Yeah, sometimes being hungry will help mitigate that a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. Sometimes being broke will help do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your?
I think my plan is just I'm just gonna.
What's your impression of that icon?
I'm just gonna work while I go to school.
What's my impression of the icon toolbox? Well, honestly speaking, it truly, to me, is the best bang for your buck if you're in the market for a box of that nature and caliber and expense. I mean, truly, I mean, I really think about it, and I see so many things today out there, and it's not just with hand tools, but it's with anything in life. There's tons of things that we want. There's tons of things that we'll never be able to have. And a big old 56-inch box like that, I mean, I was talking with my wife the other night. You see this garage behind me? All the stuff in there? I couldn't even put a 56-inch box in there if I wanted to without doing so much work that at the end of the day, it's a really, really nice box for the price point. It's just out of my budget and it's out of my practicality. For somebody that's in the industry, for somebody that needs one of those, for somebody that is having that money that would want to spend $5,000 or $6,000 on a box, you seriously have to take a look at it. I was like a kid in a candy store. I literally just looked at it and I'm like, okay, what does Chris do with other things? Well, he breaks them. He stress tests them. He does things that people don't normally do. And the first thing I thought of, and I didn't even watch the Humble Mechanics, to be honest with you. I didn't even know that he had released his video because I don't subscribe to him. He does so much car content that's just not that's too much for me. I like to stick to the tools. And if I have an application, then I'll do it. I mean, he's too deep into the VW stuff and tuner cars. That's not me. So while I do value his opinion, I mean, he, nailed a couple really good points to it. And at the end of the day, I really just want to tell people, you can't write something off if you haven't tested it. You can't write off anything that's helping healthy competition. I mean, Robert looks at prices of pieces of wood or woodworking tools, or, he picked up a Craftsman table secondhand. Some of those things are all things that, you need, but you don't necessarily have to have the best right away. And sometimes you truly don't need the best out there. I mean, I can't be the only one that has more than 2 ratchets. And I say that as a small number because literally it's just that. You might need a tool that you use every day, but you might need a backup. But do you need a backup to the backup of the backup of the backup? No, you don't. Then you just become a collector and a hoarder and enjoy things for the fun of it. But how many people really need a 60 or inch or larger box with all of the full things on there? Doesn't make you better necessarily at your job. It might make you more efficient. It might make you more organized, but it might also just put you in debt.
The one thing that I like about the U.S. General 5-drawer cart is that there's enough storage to specialize a cart with, and the cart is still affordable.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I would rather have multiple of those 5-drawer carts like I do than I would a big box.
Oh, yeah. How many?
All 46-inch wide 2-stack box, and the issue I had with that is that I was always taking tools out of it and taking the tools to wherever I was working on, and then I'd have to pick all that stuff back up, then go back over and spend an hour putting all my tools away.
Oh yeah, I'm totally the same way. Where it's like
with that 5-drawer cart, I can roll that to where I'm working. I can get a tool out, and then when I'm done, I can put it away.
Yeah. How many roll carts do you have? You said you have at least sounds like 2.
I've got 3 of the 5-drawer Harbor Freight ones, and then I've got 2 of a clutch style. I don't know if it's a clutch brand, but it's a Northern Tool.
Yep.
Tool cart. And the thing that I thought was going to be nice about those carts is that the surface split open and went to the sides. So you'd have a work surface on the top, and then you could open it up, and there was a big storage unit underneath the top. The downside to those tool carts is that they're extremely short. So there's 2 drawers in it, and then the cart's short. So it's more on the flimsy side than the U.S. General toolbox is. And I'm not real happy with them, but I bought them for a specific purpose, and they just didn't really fit the need. So I've got them in a workshop, and I use them more of like a mobile work surface than I do.
That table saw I paid $200 for that table saw.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a Craftsman one. That was the good heavy duty tabletop with the nice expansions on the side.
Cast top.
That actually weren't that flimsy plastic. And I know that because I have the one with the flimsy plastic, and I saw that, and I know what you paid for it. That was, deep down inside, I was like, "That's a really good deal." I'm kind of jealous. Not gonna deny that. It's just like Craig. He sounds like he's got tons of mobile carts. I only have one. I only have a place for one. Would I love to have more? I sure as heck would. Now.
Yeah. With that, though, I mean, I've got several facilities or buildings that I do stuff in. So most of my tools, ironically, are sitting in my truck in a tool bag.
I believe it.
One of the big mouth carpenter style tool bags. Yep. I have most all of my gear wrenches in there, and most of my Harbor Freight specialty wrenches. I've got a set of standard and metric S wrenches. And then I've got a set of standard and metric boxed in offset wrenches. And then I've got my 1/2-inch drive sockets, my 3/8 drive sockets, a couple ratchets. But the tools that I use more than anything else are my pass-through Craftsman sockets.
Really?
You've seen those. I've got a video on my page about those, but I've got a kit that's got about 10 hand wrenches, regular wrenches, and then kind of like the pass-through socket variation of 1/4 inch through 1/2 inch drive, but they're all pass-through sockets. And what I found was I bought a smaller version of that kit that just had the equivalent of the 1/4 inch drive and the 3/8 drive ratchet with the sockets. And what I was looking for at the time was that heavy, slim 1/2-inch drive ratchet from Craftsman that had the heavy handle on it because it was in my collection of tools that got stolen. I had one of those, and for the price of that one ratchet, I was able to buy the smaller version of the toolkit that I love for about the same amount of money.
It's great. I mean,
so not only did I end up with the ratchet handle that I like because it has a big grip on it and you can grab a hold of it and put torque on it, but I ended up having it in a pass-through capacity where you can slide it over bolts and get into areas because the sockets all slide into the head of the ratchet. So the thickness of the socket and the ratchet get into tight areas really nice. So it was kind of the best of all worlds. And I used that set for about a year, and then I found that they had a bigger set with the wrenches in it, and I was like, that's a catch me out. So then I bought the second set, and ironically, both of them are sitting in the toolbox in the bed of my truck. I use them more than I do any other tools that I have.
It's great.
Except my Ryobi cordless tools, which I use constantly.
Yeah, I know you're a big Ryobi guy. You got a Ryobi love going on there. But what isn't to love about Ryobi with their big selection, which allows you to use pretty much their batteries for any tool for any application that you want out there. And then when you're done working, they have tools that you can use around the house for other things, whether it be a fan or a radio or to blow up the tires in your bike or anything of that nature. That it's got the biggest depth of any tool line that I know of.
Yeah, right now in my truck, I've got two of the Ryobi X drive, impact drivers, two of the drills. I've got my cordless grinder, my 4.5-inch cordless saw, and let's see, I think I've got another Ryobi tool in the truck. So those are in my truck all the time. I carry those all the time. In my living room right now, I have my flex shaft tool, which I just got with the Ryobi battery special this spring. I've got the dual action orbital hand sander as part of that. I got recently a Sawzall and a tire inflator, and I also have my 110 volt power adapter to go along with all that. And I've got, I think, about 13 of the Ryobi batteries to go along with all that. And I've got, I've got a corded Ryobi drill press in one of my shop buildings that we use nonstop. So it's the price point versus the functionality. I do have some Milwaukee stuff. I've got an M18 Milwaukee drill. It's got the hammer functionality. We've got a couple of Milwaukee hex drive impact drivers and a Milwaukee 3/8 ratchet. But what I find more often than not that the heat protection in the Milwaukee stuff will kick in long before I have issues with the Ryobi stuff.
Yeah.
All the Ryobi tools, the overload or the heat protection is in the battery. So if you take the battery off and put a fresh battery on the tool, provided that the motor isn't hot on the tool, you can go back to right to work.
Yeah, the Ryobi also don't have for their battery cell load. If one, I can't remember how it works, but and I might not be saying this right, if the voltage dips below a certain level in the way it's feeding the tool, it just shuts the whole thing off for a certain amount of time.
Right.
Where on the more expensive tools, they have like the load checked at like the per cell level, and it doesn't fluctuate or have that sudden impact or discharge. And it's just a lot more, I don't know, they do it so that the batteries last longer. So I understand it, but they don't have all the intelligence behind it. So they make a decision to say, well, we're going to shut you off for X amount of time to make sure that you don't destroy your battery without spending the extra $5 or $10 in electronics and work. And it's probably not even that much because they're all just mass produced at this point, but they're getting their money back on that technology. So you pay for it in the end, but it's hopefully worth it.
Well, like with my Milwaukee stuff, that especially my 3/8 ratchet, if I'm using it for nonstop for a 3 hour period, when it goes into thermal mode, it will stay in thermal mode for almost an hour before the tool completely cools down, and you can go back to using it. With the Ryobi stuff, like I said, if it goes into thermal mode, the thermal mode is in the battery itself. So you can drop the battery out of it and put another battery in it and go back to working pretty much immediately, as long as the motor isn't hot. In my case, it was cheaper to buy 2 drill kits with impact drivers. And if I get one tool hot, I'll put that tool away, grab another one, and go back to work.
Yeah, I'm the same way. When I redid my deck last summer, then I was in the same boat where I was like, you know what? I need just an extra drill, but I also use my kids as a huge excuse to buy extra tools. So I let my wife know that, the 14-year-old wants to help with the deck. So I said, you know what? We need another drill and impact. So, it was a good excuse to buy another one, which also allowed me to rotate those tools out.
Right.
In the high heat. So, it extends the life of the tool. You're rotating your batteries out a little bit differently. And so some of those things, well, it sounds silly, it makes total sense. And, if you already got a couple tools in a line, you might as well just keep going on in. You gotta put your foot down in some tool brand, and you just hope that you choose to make the right one.
And that's what Robert and I were talking about, I think about 3 or 4 months ago. He's into Bauer, and the Bauer tools are pretty easy for him to obtain, and he's happy with their products. So he's going to continue down that line of tools with that platform. And I don't see anything wrong with it. I think that Bauer makes a good cordless product. And I think that, a couple of those other, I don't remember what the 2 other brands are that Harbor Freight carries, but
I think it's Hercules and
Warrior.
Yeah, and I don't remember what the other one is.
It's the cheap brand is the Warrior one. Warrior. And that kind of phased out some of the Chicago Electric battery powered NiCad things. And then it went to Bauer, and then it went to Hercules. So, everybody's got their own opinion on them, and I don't have to give my 2 cents on the Bauer line. If it works for you, then that is great. I can tell you that I really wish Harbor Freight would price their batteries for the Hercules and the Bauers a little bit differently, where the Hercules has a 5 amp hour battery that's literally $39.99, when the Bauer has the 3 amp hour at $39.99 as well. Unless they changed that in the last couple months, that's the one thing that really irks me, is that I can't get a 4 or 5 amp hour battery on the Bauer line, which gives me that longevity in the runtime. And what really, really pisses me off about the Bauer line is the fact that it says use a 3 amp hour or greater battery. Well, when you say greater, it means that you're going to offer something bigger than the 3 amp hour battery. And I might just be splitting hairs with that, but I guess I'm really a stickler for those fine details. It doesn't affect the usability of the tool. I mean, I'll tell you, you speak of Bauer, I got one right here. The only reason we still have a Bauer tool is because my wife actually loves this. And again, I'll nitpick. Pisses me off that they don't have a wall hang for this, that I could just put this on and charge it like the Ryobi line does. But this does work, and it gets the job done. My wife likes it. She uses it, and therefore it keeps me with a battery that's in the Bauer line. So if I do want to purchase something down the line, I can pick one up. And if that battery does die, I can pick one up relatively cheap. So I think, if you're in the right place and you want to spend a little bit of money, but you do have to know that long term, depending on how hard you work your tools, they are different than some of the major brands out there. But they work. They'll do a good job if you respect your tool and you don't abuse it.
I actually have a funny story about that table saw. We went to go get it, like when we were talking to the elderly guy and his wife. His wife was like talking to my dad. She's like, "Oh, were you related to this guy?" And my dad was like, we were both like, "Yeah." And she's like, oh, my sister used to date him back in high school. So the guy we got from's wife used to date one of my dad's relatives back when they were going to high school.
Nice.
So
Miss-
when we talked to them, they were like, you know what? Just since we know you guys now well enough, you can come on by anytime.
Mrs. Graphics wanted to say hi. She's tired.
Hello.
Hi.
She's gonna grace everybody with her presence.
Nice. Nice to see you.
You too. You guys have fun talking about tools.
Yeah, we talk
Oh,
about
we are.
everything. Tools, small engines, and projects and crafts, and you just never know what we'll get into a conversation about. Horse's shop, which is Robert, does a lot of woodworking stuff, and he's also into wheel horse tractors and antique cars and stuff like that. So we just kind of kick around all kinds of different topics and conversations and stuff.
That's good. I'm glad you can keep my husband busy.
I think he does a fair job of that himself. He normally likes to hang out and visit with people that are doing the kinds of things he likes to do. So
Yeah, it's good to have people that share your same interests.
absolutely. And Chris has got a pretty good knowledge of hand tools. He does a lot of testing and stuff, which is kind of nice to be able to talk to somebody that plays with the tools all the time. So
He knows a lot. The way I think of it is before he was just playing with his tools and doing stuff. Now he just gets to do it so everybody can see it on YouTube.
Fair enough.
So you can leave something behind for your kids to watch in a couple of years.
Yeah.
When they have access to YouTube, they're not allowed to.
Or talk about it. It's really funny. So my 14-year-old, he plays some of those weird games. I don't even know what they're called. What are they called?
Fortnite?
Yeah, he plays some of those Fortnite and some other things. And, they do their live chats kind of like this with their friends. And one of the kids was like giving him a hard time. And he's like, well, my dad has more followers on YouTube than you do on all your platforms connected together. And then like the other kids laughed at him and he just left.
Yeah.
So, yeah, at least my kids have been able to use me to their benefit at the end of the day, which I got a good laugh out of.
It also lets you know they're supportive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would much rather have a child on YouTube with the ability to get informative learning information than I would have them on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, where they're just kind of following memes and selfies and that kind of stuff. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I think some of that social media gets a little bit too ingrained into life.
Yeah. The kids and their social media, it's a little, you have to set some boundaries. But
absolutely.
Our kids are 7, 5, and almost 3. So we get to decide when they have electronics and watch TV, which is kind of nice. But the 14-year-old, he has his own phone, so he gets to make those decisions now. So just got to hope they make the right ones.
Yep.
Yep. Exactly.
The thing that they have to remember is when they make a bad decision to stick with it and own it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Well, and not just as kids, we as adults have to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
And it's tough. I mean, we have to make the right choices, and yeah, it's tough being an adult too.
Yeah, that's the important part about being a child. Enjoy it while you have it, because when you get to be an adult, a lot of the fun days go away.
That's true.
Brandon said he doesn't take selfies on Instagram all the time anyways. Brandon, thank you for not overshadowing Instagram with selfies. I always like to say nobody really wants to see me on camera anyways. They just want to look at the tools, and maybe they don't even want to hear me talk about them, but
no, they want to see you break your tools.
That too. I think really people, I don't know, things people like. I mean, somebody probably says the same thing. They click on my video, they give me a thumbs down. They're like, God, that guy likes tools. What the heck is his problem? But, at the same time, I think of all the other things people like out there, some crazy stuff that people really go for.
I will have to defend you, Chris. You don't like tools near as much as Cat Loco does.
Yeah, we all.
He has like the ultimate tool collection.
Hey,
I think that if somebody buys a tool and he doesn't have it, he's having a bad day.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do a video of all the stuff that I bought on YouTube because people have shown it to me. It'd be a fairly large list of items. I mean,
you guys should all do it. It should be
I
like
mean-
a show me your tool challenge.
it should be the shit that people made me buy on YouTube but didn't really make me.
That's when I bought my Ryobi flex shaft tool, and I did the video on it. And he was like, "I really want that tool, but I don't want to go spend the money on it." And I was like, "It's inexpensive, and not only that, but you can buy 2 batteries with a charger and a bag and get the tool for free."
Yeah.
He was like, "I want to, but I'm not going to." He's trying to buy a house right now, so between that and his car projects, he's had to put the brakes on the tool purchases.
Yeah, I've kind of had to put the brakes on after kind of spending way too much money on the Icon stuff. But
Just a little bit.
I
Just bought a little bit of stuff.
still for the most part, I mean, no buyer's remorse. I'm pretty happy with it. I really do like the ratcheting wrenches. I really wanted a set of those because my Stanley ones I've had for years, and it's the old Stanley one that really mirrored like the Blackhawk ratcheting wrenches, and I always was fearful that I was going to break them, and I was going to have to swap out one for one that wasn't in my set. And there's just something I'm really OCD about. I can have all my tools, but if there's one mismatched one, I know it doesn't really affect any performance, but it really just kind of drives me nuts at the end of the day that there's one for difference. And so I don't know. I think they'll be around for a while, hopefully, but they're pretty nice. If you can afford them, I mean, I would probably buy more of that stuff over the Snap-on stuff. I'm just able to frequent my Harbor Freight 3 to 5 times a week. It's literally on the way. They're open till 8 p.m. And I mean, I can't beat that hands down. I mean, my Nap is good. They're open till 6 though. My advanced and O'Reilly's and AutoZone is open till like 10. I mean, that's pretty deep.
Hours, but they will be changing that soon. You'll be getting into the winter hours.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I can confirm that there are several times where I'm expecting my husband to come home and he is at Harbor Freight or something, doing something for tools, and he's like, "Oh, I'll still be home on time for dinner. I just had to stop in here real quick and check out these tools." I'm like, okay.
What he needs to do is he needs to come home and have dinner and then take you to Harbor Freight with him.
But see, that's a problem. It's not on the way. That's
opposite ends of town.
It's opposite end of town. So if I came home, to drive to Harbor Freight from my house and then come back is like a 50 to 55 minute trip. But when I go to work and I leave from work, it's only 5 minutes from work.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like over lunch I'll run there, or I'll leave at 4, run to Harbor Freight, and then come home. And it just makes sense. Hey, it looks like we got Brandon that joined us. BSS.
Hi guys.
Brandon,
hey, Brandon.
Going semi-good, I guess.
Well, need to take her to Harbor Freight so she can get some more Bauer tools.
Yeah. Hey, honey, I was telling him about the vacuum that she likes. So, I mean, not everybody's a fan of the Bauer. I'm not, but you know what? We keep some things because she's a fan of it.
Well, okay, here's a confession. I'm sure I'm not the only one out there. I didn't mow a lawn until I was 30 years old. I now know how to do that, but I can only mow our lawn with our push start mower because I'm truly not strong enough to, like, what's that called? Pull the thing?
Pull
Start. Do that. But sometimes I really don't like how the lawn looks and I want it to be edged, but I don't know how to work that. And I sometimes want to blow stuff, but I don't know how to work any of that. But when my husband buys me these things with just the battery power and all I have to do is like push a button, I feel like I can help out more. I like mowing the lawn.
So that's why I did that leaf blower review. I didn't even say that, but when I did the leaf blower review, I really bought that because my wife can't start the gas powered tools that we have, but she can easily flip a switch on the leaf blower or the electric weed eater. But I haven't showed her how to do the electric weed eater yet.
You used it. I tried it, but I haven't done it on my own.
Right.
I'm not brave enough.
So I mean, it's
a prime example, Chris, of what you could get that you both could enjoy. It'd be a Ryobi cordless riding lawnmower.
Oh my gosh, he wants a riding lawnmower so badly.
Oh,
They
I
know
have a riding mower, but it's not quite a riding mower. It's more of an estate tractor. I think it's a 1998 Toro 522XI.
well, look
My
at
wife wants the standard Ryobi riding lawnmower that has the steering wheel on it.
and Brandon fixes small engines and mowers.
Yeah, I got a pasture full of them.
Yeah, I love it when everybody used to be able to go live, and you could do it from your mobile phone without the 1,000 subscribers. I don't know what it was, but seriously, every time Brandon, he would jump on, whether it be a 4-wheeler or something, and he would just ride around the yard, and I just absolutely loved it, and I don't know why.
Yeah, a couple reasons I like that Toro is because it's a hydro. It's got 60-inch cut. It's got a cup holder, power steering, and it's got cruise control.
Oh,
You were right there, cup holder.
Cup holder.
See,
Yeah,
I just like being able to sit on that Toro in my lawn, push the pedal down, set the cruise control, and just let off, and that tractor will pretty much just drive itself.
no, that cup holder, I'd put my phone in it and then put my earphones in, and I'd have all my stuff playing on my phone. I could easily do that. Well, I'll tell you what, when we clean out our garage and we have space for a riding lawnmower, I'll let you get one.
Ah, very nice.
Yeah, and I have the trusty old Cub Cadet at home too. I got the good old 1969 107.
Man, do you cut lawns all the time then with that?
No, I just mow my own lawn. I just use a Toro. That Toro is so nice to be able to sit on there, have cruise control, power steering, cup holder, adjustable seat with armrest, tilt steering wheel, high wheel range.
Yeah, I think my wife would really like the power steering on the riding lawnmower, but that puts me in a different price range.
Not really bad though.
Yeah, it's got the 60-inch cut on it, but it's not a vertical shaft. It's actually a horizontal shaft one. It's not one of the little vertical shaft riding mowers. It's more of a estate tractor.
Okay, so like I can mow the lawn.
I like that 60-inch cut.
Okay, I can mow my lawn right now by myself and bag it in like 65, 70 minutes. How fast could I do it with a riding lawnmower? Like 20?
Probably.
Mower.
It takes me about.
You can cut that time down dramatically.
It takes me about 45 minutes to mow my lawn.
At zero turn, you could probably have it done in less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But I just love. I like Toros. I always have liked Toros.
Brandon,
Toros have always had a good cut.
Which mower? And if you can't answer that, that's fine. Which mower do you have to fix the most, and which mower do you think you fix the least?
The Troy built with the stamp deck. Everybody hits them, and they're soaked in the front. They bend the decks in on the front of the decks.
So, like engine-wise, which one do you think you fix the least, and which one you fix the most?
Briggs & Stratton, the B-twin Briggs & Stratton, I fix the most. The Kawasaki's barely come in here because they stay running for a long time.
How about the Hondas? Are those pretty good too?
They can be, but I've heard some bad things about the newer ones, but I've never had any in here to work on, so I guess that's a good thing.
Like, yeah. I mean, if you want a Honda, you want to get, Brandon will probably agree with this, you want to get an older one because the older Hondas are really good.
We had a
like
Honda.
the older GX series Hondas, like this GX 670, the V-twins, GX series V-twins, older ones. They're actually really good motors.
We had an old Honda that, when I say old, it was like one of the first ones with the plastic deck on it. Oh my God, there was something wrong with the carburetor. We never figured out. It probably just needed an overhaul and a new one. but the parts were so darn expensive for it that it's still just sitting in the shed at my mom's house. It's probably like 15 years old now.
See, these days and
You
times,
can put a new carburetor on it for less money than what you could rebuild it for.
I could probably go get a
Yeah.
Predator Harbor Freight and put it on there if the shaft lines up.
Yeah.
These
Or you
days
just buy
and times-
aftermarket or you just buy one of those aftermarket Chinese carburetors and gamble. Because I paid $15 for a Chinese carburetor for my Cub. Carburetor in my Cub was starting to go away, and I just put a $15 Chinese carb on it. Haven't had a problem with that Chinese carb at all.
well, I can tell y'all this: the modern today's prices on Honda parts is really low. You can get a genuine carburetor, genuine OEM carburetor for Honda for $20.
Wow.
Yeah.
I might have to go look at that again.
Although
Although
them now because of that.
Although I do have 3 running lawnmowers of my own at home, and they all run, knock on wood. I'm in a good situation right now.
Yes, and of those
Where'd
3,
Craig
I
go?
can only start one of them. So
Yeah, we lost Craig.
Well, Kathy, go check on Craig. Make sure he's okay. Maybe his battery just died or something.
Kathy, his wife, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Hi, Kathy.
Yeah.
Good
Yep.
job.
That
Why?
Cub Cadet I have it. That Cub Cadet without like any fluids on it and without the extra weights on it and stuff weighs 630 pounds.
Yeah.
It's a tank. But I use that for plowing my garden because it has enough oomph it can do it.
What size is the engine on that one again?
It had a 10 horse in it, but my grandpa I got from my grandpa. I'm the second owner of it because I got from my grandpa. He kept bending the valves. It would have had a 10 horsepower K series Kohler in it, but he kept bending the valves due to overheating. He's upgraded and put a 12 horse Kohler in it.
Hmm.
But I'm talking about the old K series, like the old cast iron one of the old cast iron Kohlers.
Right.
Absolute. I mean, they're heavy engines, but they are extremely reliable engines. I've never had a problem with a K series.
K series are good. The Courage was called the Exploders because they actually would explode the whole case. The rod would go through the block.
I mean, the Kohler Magnums, I respect those engines in their own way, but I've never been a huge fan of the Kohler Magnum series.
You guys are speaking a language I've never heard of.
Looks
I
like
know nothing about
T&M
engines.
Bros. He's never been to one of these streams before. He's running a 20 horsepower twin MTD riding mower. It runs great, and it was heavily used. Also been rebuilding a go-kart for the past few days. It has a 212 swap in it. Nice. He stole the Briggs off of it, and for the cart, that one came with the 212. Very nice, man.
So how are you going to run
Nice.
your engine for a ride mower engine on your go-kart? Are you going to use a gearbox that's going to switch it over? Or are you going to put a transaxle under your go-kart? Because the way it is, a vertical shaft motor ain't going to run a live axle that's meant for a side shaft engine.
We'll have to see what he says.
I'd be interested to
Yeah, I
see
found
what
a
it says about that.
couple of that. I'm gonna put them in an album and see if I can screen share. I'll show you the Almighty tank once I get this album created. Because I use that Cub Cadet for anything. We have a 46 Chevrolet pickup in our garage, and I use that usually every time we pull that truck out, I hook the old Cub Cadet up to it and yank it with the Cub. That always does a pretty good job of it too.
Very nice.
Here we go. I'll pull up my screen share. I'll show you this almighty tank of a tractor.
Yeah, let's see it.
Let's check out your tractor.
It's 50 years old too.
Well, my tractor's 70.
Well, I don't have a tractor, so how do you like them apples?
You need one?
I do.
Yeah.
But
There we
Brandon,
go.
I bet you're.
There it is. There it is. Pulling the. There's the 46 Chevrolet that I tugged out of the garage with it.
There you go. I like that it's yellow.
Yep. That's not one of the MTD made Cub Cadets either. That's one of the ones that was built by International Harvester.
I don't think you caught it.
Good.
You did?
Sorry, we have a fly situation over here.
My God,
Yeah.
my wife caught the fly and pushed it into the beer bottle.
Then now you're gonna have a drunken fly buzzing around.
I
I'm
finished.
like 90% sure he's in there.
I finished it, so thankfully.
Oh, I didn't get it.
Denim Bros, I don't know. This is StreamYard. I know I'm the only one, like, besides Brandon, Client, and Craig. They can share screens right now. But right there in the background, you see that truck? That's our I don't know if you see it, that's our 46 Chevrolet pickup.
Sorry, it's gonna keep buzzing around.
Yeah, my internet dropped out. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, we're
That's
wondering
okay.
where you popped off to.
Glad you're okay, man.
There. Oh,
I can show mine. Give me a second.
there we go. I'll get that.
Boom.
Oh, here.
They wanted
1947 Farmall Cub.
Oh, that's cool.
there.
And it's kind of tiny in real life next to the big tractors as it shows. It's kind of tiny.
How old is this red one?
It's 70-some years old.
Oh my gosh, that looks cool.
Yeah. I mean, back when the Cubs came out, too, they were a very, very popular tractor.
Yeah.
I don't think I
Farmall-
saw a tractor until I was like in college. I grew up in the suburbs of Atlanta, so not a lot of farmland.
Wilkerson's Mower Shop said, "Nice Cub."
Yeah. But yeah, I'll tell you what. I saw a combine for the first time in a small town in Nebraska, and I loved it. And my kids love tractors and stuff like that, and they love all things that move. Even our daughter likes to play with trains with her little brother. But when you guys talk about your tractors and all these parts, I like hear all this like language that I've like never heard of before when you guys talk about what you do. So it's fun to hear. I don't know half the stuff that you guys are talking about, but I think it's cool you guys have like your own language. And like unless you're
my Cub Cadet. If I take my Cub Cadet and fully wind the throttle out and get that tranny wide open, it will hit 8 miles an hour.
That's awesome.
So for an old track, for as old as it is and as heavy it is it scoots right along. But one of the other features I like about that Cub Cadet, even though it's 50 years old, it actually has dual disc brakes.
I'm gonna leave this. I'm gonna leave and be in the live chat.
Okay. Yeah. Yep, that Cub Cadet will get right up and go at 8 miles an hour, even though it's 50 years old. But the disc brakes, usually if you're cruising along and you slam on it, those disc brakes will, and you slam. Okay, let me reword this. If you're cruising along and you slam on the brakes, that tractor will pretty much almost slide you completely off the seat.
Oh.
Because they're dry discs. So if you step on them, it's gonna stop.
Just stops. Cool.
Oh, there's the fly.
Just hope the fly doesn't land in the beer, so you don't have to have a drunken fly buzzing around.
I don't know if you can see it flying. It's so annoying.
Yeah, I just seen a little black dot go across the screen.
It's the worst. Excuse me. It's the worst thing when I'm trying to do a video and that fly comes around and I can hear it and it's buzzing around. And my wife killed it. Thank you, honey.
I was not going to let it continue to live.
Speaking of tools, I rarely like to talk about like the bad tools on YouTube, although it needs to be said sometimes.
Okay, I'm going to go watch Netflix. Have fun.
Yeah. Aren't you just special through Netflix.
I'm watching this crime show. I need to like find out what happens.
These
Well,
Irwin,
thanks for joining us
I'm sure-
anyway.
I'm sure you do.
these Irwin screwdrivers, I thought were going to be good. They were
suck.
not. They suck. These handles and everything in them is so flexy and so cheap that I would not. I don't know if you can see any of the flex in there.
I can see a little bit of it.
I would not buy this kind of Irwin gripped handle. Just giving you guys a warning.
Yeah.
It's
Want me to?
between right
Want me to make
here.
you? Want me to make you a wood handle for it? We can wood burn Irwin in the handle.
Yeah, and see, I don't even know how far the screwdriver goes into the handle, because it goes from that clear, translucent, darker blue to the rubber grip. So I mean, I know it doesn't go all the way through, but just giving you a heads up, if you see something like this for Irwin, don't pick it up.
Maybe I had to make you a wood handle, and we can wood burn Irwin in the handle. You can have a special edition Irwin screwdriver.
Yeah, if we can get that.
There you go.
See, there's my mower, Chris.
One of one.
Ah, very nice.
One of one wood handled Irwins.
If you look at the background, you can see a Toyota Corolla on a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
The car's literally that mower's about the same size as that car. My wife hates that thing because it's awkward for her to drive. She doesn't understand the handles and the hydrostat and all that. That is one of the reasons why she wants that Ryobi battery operated tractor mower that's got the steering wheel on it, because then she could mow on that while I'm mowing on this mower. That mower has a 61-inch cut deck, and I could mow about 6 acres in about an hour with that mower.
Yeah.
So as far as a comparison to tractor to zero turn, performance, reliability, and time, I would say that this rates at the top, but it's also an expensive machine. It's like a $9,500 mower. So
Right. But I mean, your time is worth money too. If you think at the end of the day, that machine might save you, an hour or a 30, say it makes you 30 minutes less every time you mow, and you mow maybe once a week. And how many weeks in a mowing season? We'll just say 16. That adds up to real money if you don't have any major breakdowns in 3 to 5 years.
It does. And the other thing too is I used to use 2 Murray 52-inch cut mowers to mow the same amount of land, and it would take me half a day.
Right.
With the 2, and you're talking about cutting with 104 inches of deck surface with 2 mowers running simultaneously. That 61-inch cut deck runs circles around those 2 mowers.
Yep. And time's money. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not just with mowers. It's not just with small engine work. It's with life. I mean, I look at things and go, is that a project I can tackle? Well, let me just figure out if that's a project that I can tackle, and I'll say I charge $20 an hour or $30 an hour for my time. And if I can do something that a professional, I figure can do it twice as fast as me. If they can do it and they save me quite a bit of time and a little bit of money, it might well be worth it. I just got to add up those costs. And that's
Absolutely. What I was having a discussion with one of my friends with, he was changing an engine on a Dodge 2500. It had a 5.7 liter Hemi in it. And I said, for me to do that, whoever the customer is, it would be $475 out and $475 back in. I said, talking about almost $1,000 worth of work. I wouldn't touch it for less than that. And he's like, well, they're not going to want to pay that kind of money. And I said, that's why I'm not working on it.
Yep.
That's what my time is worth.
Yep. And that might even be cheap in some senses, and it might be expensive in other senses.
Well,
some
I
people.
think it was like a 2002 model, so the engine sits back underneath the cowling. So you have to take the whole front grille, bumper, core support, radiator, all that has to come out. You have to pull that engine away from that cowling before you can go up with it. So that's not an engine that I would want to work on. And in order to pick it up, you need to use an engine plate on a cherry picker, which gets your cherry picker basically at the intake level to lift the engine up enough to have enough clearance to get that back underneath that cowl. I just have no desire to work on anything that's that close or that tight of a tolerance as far as an engine.
Would you be able to use like a if you could put a chain over a rafter in like your workshop and just pull it straight out if you took the hook off?
No, it actually sits underneath. And when I say cowling, where your wipers are and all that stuff on the
Oh yeah,
the windshield and all that, that engine block sits back underneath that a little ways. So, like a square body Chevy, when you open the hood, the firewall's directly in front of the cowling. That engine, the intake is underneath the cowling, so it sits back inside of the cab a little bit, if you will, kind of like a van.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Like some of the Dodge Town and Countries, the Chrysler Town and Countries, where yeah, that front came so far over, and that engine like literally was built like halfway into the cab or into where the passenger sits and the driver's feet are. Yeah, the things they do sometimes with the engineering on that, it's really interesting.
Yeah, and with the front wheel drive Chrysler vans, you have to either take the engine mounts loose and rock the engine over to change the spark plugs in them, or you have to come up from underneath.
Yep.
And you got to lift the vehicle up off the ground. You got to come in from the backside of the engine to change those spark plugs, and then you're doing it without any kind of line of sight.
Right.
So it's more of a feel. So, I mean, there are some of those vehicles that the engineering is kind of leaves a lot to be desired.
Oh yeah, I hear you. I hear you. The one thing, Robert, I know when I was growing up and in high school, and then just finishing, I was a lube tech for a while. But that being said, in my spare time, I worked on cars. All my friends that needed something, because I had a lot of spare time. So when I was, 16, 18, 19, 22, if I wasn't working at my job, I was working on friends' cars at a super discounted rate, but still making money and getting experience, and then continuing to work up with my hands on things. And that's where today I look and go, God, how did I have time to do all that stuff? How did I have time to tinker with my friend's cars? It's because I didn't have kids. I didn't have other responsibilities, but all my spare time was spent tinkering and trying to make a buck for friends that wanted to save a buck too. So I don't know if you have that as an opportunity to work on vehicles, or even mow neighbors' yards or things like that for money. I don't know if that's a possibility.
Hello.
We got a
Hey TNM,
new
what
guest
you
on the panel
what
tonight.
you got going on?
Hey, Tandem.
It said TNM, but I understand how people get the tandem. I don't care. I've just been tinkering with my go-karts for the past couple of days. I got a Yerf Dog 3202, whatever this go-kart is in my picture. It's one of the old F1 body go-karts, but it doesn't have the body anymore. It was all jank and redneckified. It was terrible looking. But I bought it for the engine, and it was just sitting around in my backyard, sort of rotting away, falling apart. So I felt bad and started fixing it.
Very cool.
I also got that 20 horsepower twin MTD mower. I thought that was just the best find ever because he was willing to trade it for a 13 horse MTD mower that sucked and the engine was basically blown up on it. It had oil coming out of so many holes I couldn't even plug them all up. the poor thing was dying, to say the least. And I took this 20-horse mower out first time, and I took it down the street just to see how it ran, because I live in a neighborhood. And I swear it popped a tiny wheelie just going down the street. Pretty cool.
You know, put that on your go kart there, then it really move.
Oh yeah, I have this little go kart that I took the Predator off of to put on this go kart, and that thing it's pretty dang fast. Now it's getting a 5-horse Briggs. It's going to be even faster.
You think about now you got a 20-horse Briggs that you can put on that one and make it real fast.
I don't think I'm putting the 20-horse Briggs on a go kart.
I've seen people do it with the 18-horse
Hey,
I've seen it,
horizontals.
but
people do that all day long.
I think that might end up on my Yerf dog more or less.
Yeah.
I got a big Yerf dog 3202 that'd be perfect for I actually have a post twin Briggs just sitting on the ground in my backyard. I think it'd be perfect for my Yerf dog.
Oh yeah, I'm checking that out right now. Your Yerf jog with a CVT.
It's got a 420cc Subaru on it. It's got a torque converter and everything. It's got $50 Subaru that doesn't run very well. But it almost pops wheelies too, which is surprising.
See what your Wilkerson's.
I took off from one of my neighbor's houses because I just wanted to sort of floor it and see what it would do. So it runs like crap. It doesn't run very well, but it just about almost popped the wheelie. My Yerf dog's fully restored. It was a pile when I got it, just like everything else I own.
Well, I think next Friday, I think I'm just gonna host a stream where if like everybody has a video, like videos they recently uploaded. I think I was gonna hold a stream where they can post the links in there and people can watch those videos.
Yeah.
Just think about that. Maybe next Friday, I think I may just do that, hold a stream where everybody can post links to their newest videos in there in the chat. Just want to do that.
Hey, have you guys ever heard of the DIY go-kart forum?
No.
It's actually a pretty nice place to get information and talk to people about stuff or give knowledge, all that. If you see in the picture, I put this go-kart in the build-off contest because they're doing one where you win a t-shirt if you get the most votes, I guess. I don't know. But
Cool.
my Subaru Yerf dog is in there, and so is this go-kart.
Yeah, so it was like just like a few minutes to go, right? I had to like I'm down to 3.
I really haven't had time to tinker with the mower, so it runs and I just let it sit there. Anything that runs, I don't mess with, usually, unless it has a problem with it.
Yeah, there's nothing to it. If it's running, let it run till it dies. Then move on.
It's running. I don't have gas for it. I just leave it there because I know it runs and it'll be fine until winter. As long as I keep it from getting like all rusty and beat up and stuff.
Yeah.
But I got a Coleman CT200U and the mower just sitting back there. I also got a motorcycle in my backyard, but it's not mine. I just got so much stuff in my backyard right now, it's kind of crazy. If I went on my Samsung phone, I'd send pictures, but I don't have any pictures. Plus, it's late at night.
Hey, no problem. Just you should be lucky that you can get on your phone. I tried to get on my, I've tried to get on streams before with my cell phone. It doesn't work. I usually have to go right to the computer. So consider yourself
Yeah,
very,
iPhones
very
suck.
lucky.
I just bought an iPhone with my Samsung that I'm talking to you on. They came together. Samsung worked right out of the bat, but the iPhone was already broken when I got it.
It's too bad. Yeah, I'd be
So
really pissed. This is a half a terabyte XSR or something like that. It's one of those. Eh.
and I prefer open software phones. Those Apple devices they're overpriced and useless.
Definitely overpriced.
Yeah,
I just feel
I
like
don't
they're
get. Everybody's buying the iPhone freaking 11Xs now, and they wonder why they can't afford oil change or tires.
yeah, because they buy too many iPhones.
Spend $1,000 on a
And then
freaking phone.
me and my friends are the ones that get the broken $1,000 phones when they're completely
$1,000 on a
and
freaking
utterly
cell phone.
destroyed. Yeah, I spend $50 on a phone and usually get them for free. I get all the old
I
used
spent
pieces of crap from
145 on mine.
people at school. Hey, I spent nothing on any of
I
my
paid
phones. I own.
145 for mine, and it's been working great.
I make most of my YouTube videos on my phone, so I've kind of had to step up my game in the last couple months. So
yeah, I agree because
That's how I do it.
if you want to upload videos on your phone, you basically have to resort to an iPhone. You can't do anything else without an iPhone. Because the video I just uploaded today came out terrible with the Samsung because it glitched halfway through and it kept trying to refocus and it was making the video all wonky.
So, I mean, I had a decent Android phone, but I just couldn't get consistent quality on it. There would always be skips in the audio.
Yeah.
Picture would be great, but I'll tell you, when you are talking and then there's a sudden like, "Rah, meh," and you're just like, how am I supposed to record over that? It's going to sound weird when I take out the actual clanking of the tool or the working on something or so. Yeah, I had to
I
digress.
understand that. It's kind of tough when it comes to recording on your
I
phone.
record everything with this, and I haven't had a problem with it yet.
What is that?
It is a Samsung Galaxy J7 Sky Pro.
I'm talking to you on a Note 3 that I got from a friend at school. He was sitting in his backpack dead.
This one
and when
cost
I
me...
opened it up, there was all kinds of interesting stuff, to say the least, open on the tabs.
I bet.
I also mostly wanted the iPhone 6 that came with it. I didn't really care too much about the Samsung, but I think I have that flip now. I care more about the Samsung than the iPhone.
There, would I put a link in the...
There's some guys like Brad's Workbench. He does all of his YouTube videos with an iPhone 6.
Yeah, iPhone 6 are perfect for it.
I'm kind of a different animal. Brad's been doing it for many, many years. I started in January, and I now have 5,000 subscribers. So, I mean, everybody's going to have different results, but I can tell you that quality in your videos, sound, and content all do play a key in your success.
Oh, there we go. Can I flip the camera? I'm trying to see if I can get my camera to work. Oh, hi.
There it is. Now we can see you.
No light.
It's working though.
Yeah, it
Clear.
Is. Better than my LG. I know that.
I mean, I mean, I like Brad's workbench, but I really haven't gotten along with him recently. Let's just say that.
You know, some people have more bad days than good days, and that guy would be one that seems like has more bad days. You know, the thing about being on YouTube is if I want a Debbie Downer, I'll go talk to my friends at work. I'll go in real life. I mean, man, I just walk down the street and people just look literally unhappy. And so my YouTube time is not one that I want to be feeling worse about life or just worse about myself. And it's kind of an outlet where people get a listen, but at the same time, I want to keep things classy and positive. So I mean, that's just my take on it. Not everybody's upbeat, but I sure try to be.
Same. I'm a really nice person. I try to be nice towards everyone, but just some people you just can't. They don't respect you trying to be
like
nice.
I've been
to
trying to
them.
figure out a way to I was trying to figure. I mean, I want to do like a video of me recording, and I talked to Brad about it, and he's like, "That'd be pretty cool." And he's ever since I said that, he's been like, "Where's the videos at? Where's the videos at doing that?" And eventually, I had enough, and I said, I'll do it when I can afford a nice camera setup to do it. I'll do it when I can afford a GoPro.
Once my 6 is fixed, which I have a friend at school that is really his job in real life is fixing phones at a phone store. So he offered to do it for free and buy the parts for me. He's just a really nice guy. His name is Kevin. He's just a super nice guy to me. Because we're just like fairly good friends, and he's fixing my iPhone 6 for me. He's replacing the logic board because it was locked when I got it. You know how used iPhones at schools are, possibly. Mm-hmm. Usually you get an old device and it's probably stolen, but you can't find the original owner because it's locked. Once that 6 is fixed, I'm probably going to upload daily if possible.
I'm like, oh my God, it's a real thing.
The Samsung isn't too bad. It's a little bit laggy sometimes. And the camera, for some reason, freaks out whenever you record. Also, another thing I found out.
What would I put?
Whenever I exit out on the camera after recording, the phone will crash. I don't know why. A little odd, but. I drove that go-kart for the first time today, and it drove down the street just fine. And I was literally reaching back, throttling it manually because I didn't have any
two people here in the stream. I'm just gonna run until 11:30 my time and see if anyone else shows up.
The go-kart I've been working on today, I drove down the street for the first time after buying it because I've never driven the go-kart due to it being a literal pile of crap. Like, it was falling apart, and it had things zip tied to it all over. I swear somebody used a whole pack of zip ties on it and then started just bunching wires around things and self-tappers and all kinds of stuff. They put lawnmower running boards and a big leather seat on it. It looked weird.
So was it a redneck special, was it?
Oh, yeah, it definitely was.
I
stripped it down to the bare frame, and it looked okay, but it was still really ugly because it was meant to have a body on it. So, you know how the front ends of those Rups looked with just the exposed front axle thing? I cut the front bumper mount where the body would mount on in the front of the go-kart. I cut all that off just because it was ugly and I didn't like it. So now it looks sort of like a rup in the front. And it's more, well, it looks better. Just the only problem I'm having is with the brake pedal. Because I don't have a metal rod that's perfectly sized for it. I just have one from a different go-kart and the original one. The original one is threaded at the end, but not the entire rod. And it's way too long, so I'd have to cut all the threads off to use it. And I don't have a welder, so I used the one from a different go-kart, and I got to move all the mounts that I already made, which kind of sucks. Have you all had any experiences like that? Make a whole bunch of mounts and find out something doesn't work?
Yeah.
Only like
That's the-
once in a while, but that's about it.
That's measure twice, cut once, and you still measured twice, and you still messed it up.
Yeah, I did that.
Yep.
I didn't measure. Usually it's just guesswork.
I'm 33.
I mean, that's like how I do it with like my woodworking. I don't ever guess. I always try and measure right to the T.
Kind of guessed that one a little bit.
My nickname on the go-kart forum I'm usually always on is Budget Go-Kart for a reason. I try to spend like nothing on these go-karts half the time.
There you go.
I
almost
just
need
use
to-
whatever parts I have laying around.
Need to make a special one that says number 01 Redneck Special.
My first
Cool
ever
antenna on
go-kart.
Earth, a little cool tail flapping in the breeze.
Yeah, my first ever go-kart I named Budget Go-Kart because I was a broke like 13-year-old back then when I bought it. I didn't know how to work on it, so I sort of just put it together, bought the wrong parts like 3 times, and then finally learned how to put it together. It had a little 3-horse Briggs that ran pretty well, and it was an old little kid's frame, and it turned out to be a Ken bar worth $800. Someone tried to buy it from me. I said no because I wanted to keep it. But yeah, some people actually really like that thing. I don't know why. I like it. I'm actually in the process of putting a Briggs 5-horse on it right now because I took the 212 I put on it off. I don't like the way the 212 is compared to the Briggs engines because the Briggs engines they're just awesome. I think they sound amazing. They feel great on a go-kart. And the 212s are just raw, bare, floor it, whatever. No one cares. They're boring. Too many people use the 212s.
It's a good tried and true motor. It
does work, and it's widely available. So
yeah, especially that Harbor Freight Predator, man.
Yeah, I've had probably 4 Predators from Harbor Freight. I've bought 3, I think, and I've had one that came with a go-kart.
You sound like you're not a broke 13-year-old anymore.
Yeah, I'm a broke 16-year-old now.
Oh, Clint, I was going to tell you this. This is a song I listened to. It's I don't know if this works. It's by the Offspring, and it's called "Why Don't You Get a Job."
Yep, I'm not getting a job anytime soon.
Yeah, the only other tools I really care for are S&K, Crescent, and Master Force.
So Master Force is your Menards. Where are you picking your SK up from?
My dad and I have found the sets over there. So he likes S&K stuff. We have pretty much everything from the 1/4-inch drive to 1-inch drive S&K stuff.
Which store do you find SK at?
These aren't the new ones. I'm talking old sets.
Okay.
Like the old ones that have S.K and have Sherman Cove engraved on the tags.
Yep. Yep.
One time we did find and actually bought a Sherman Quo original style green toolbox.
They're really expensive if you find them new
Oh, my phone glitched.
for what they are. Yeah, no problem. We were like, hope he's okay. Maybe he dropped his
Yep.
phone.
Even some of those old SK tools bring crazy money.
Yeah,
Because
they
the old
do.
stuff is hard to find.
And the thing is the old stuff, if you have a problem
SK
with
tools are hard to find.
So I haven't got a chance to do my newest video yet, but like you say they're hard to find. So there's an SK right there, just a round head ratchet.
Yep.
It's got a little issue in there where somebody accidentally broke that off or it wore off. But I'm gonna actually break that in my ratchet testing, and then they're so good about their warranty. I take it to one of my local tool supply companies that is a distributor for them. They ship it back to them for free. They bring me and they ship back a new tool, and then I pick it up within the next month. The problem is they don't have like the biggest amount of volume, so they ship things once a month and then get a shipment once a month back. But it's free to me, so I picked two of these up at the pawn shop for $3. $3.
My dad doesn't mind me stealing his charger for a few minutes. My phone's on 3%.
Oh dear.
But yeah,
I know.
sometimes
I think the
sometimes,
biggest.
brand new, I think SK sells those for like $38 or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Still cheaper than Snap-on.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Snap-on stuff, I'll admit, Snap-on stuff is nice. It's just way overpriced.
Nice is relative. Like your go-kart, your small engine doesn't care whether you're using Snap-on, Husky, Craftsman. I mean, how
Walmart brand like I use.
Hyper
Oh,
Tough?
Tectons.
Yeah, I use that.
Yeah,
Tecton stuff is actually
Honestly,
pretty good.
the ratchets break after probably a year if they're used lightly.
Oh, the
We
Hyper
have
Tough?
Yeah.
We have the Tecton impact sockets, and so far they've proved to be really good sockets.
Oh yeah, Justin Dow and I did a video on those, and that's probably about one of the only things that, because Justin's really, really hard. He's a full-time mechanic, and he's really hard on his tools. He uses them every day, and the impact stuff is stuff that definitely holds up. I did a collaborative video with him on those, and yeah, their impacts are good.
Just about every hyper tough tool I've owned has been pretty tough, and it's worked for just forever. I've never really broken any besides one of my ratchets.
I know. I think the biggest SK drive size we have, ratchet wise and breaker bar wise, is 3/4.
For the
I
drive.
got in a argument with my teacher earlier during I think it was 4th period at school. I go to high school, so I got in an argument with my engineering teacher about which one's more confusing, standard or metric. I just said I use mostly metric sockets on my standard bolts.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's certain ones that cross.
It seems easier to me.
I know there's 2 metric sizes you can get that are like the exact same as a standard, but I can't remember what size they are.
19 millimeter is a 3/4.
Yep,
I
19 and
I can tell you that.
A 3/8 is a
close to a 10.
10.
Close.
Yeah.
I think the other one's what, 5/16 is close to a how many millimeter socket? I think they said 5/16 is like the other one. That's like it has the same millimeter size.
Can't remember.
16ths and isn't it like 8 or 9 mil? Yeah, I think it's 8 mil. I think 5/16 is 8 millimeter.
I'd go upstairs and grab my other phone, but my brothers and a guest is over, so people are asleep upstairs, and I don't want to bug them.
That's no big deal. It don't matter. It's all good. No, you can pretty much Google that, like SAE to metric, and you'll be able to find PDFs or charts that show you the tolerances between the two.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just use whatever turns the bolt. Usually, I don't really look at them or care.
and that's actually, I mean, that's not an issue. In some senses, there's a tolerance in sockets and there's a tolerance in bolts. And some of the really cheaper fasteners from some of the Asian companies are undersized or oversized, and they truly aren't the right size because they're so out of tolerant that you might actually be using a fastener that's really not the right one with the different socket size. So it just depends. It's really, it's a fascinating thing to look at it. I do a lot of those weird nuances with measurings of tolerances and fasteners. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Uh,
I've never really liked the metric system though.
I think it's,
I don't like the metric system. It's just confusing with how they have it set up. To me, honestly,
You know,
I
It's
rather
nice
just
a lot
use a
of
fraction.
a
Fractions
lot of
are.
people complain about like losing 10mm sockets. I have never. I say this. I
I
have
haven't
never
either,
lost a
actually.
10mm socket
I have
at
about
all.
5 10mm sockets, and I've never lost one. I've dropped them, but I've never lost one.
those are all 10mm sockets right there.
Yep,
Lucky.
listening to 10mm sockets.
That's how
Jeez, you got the
OCD
mother
I am
load.
about. Yeah, so that's it. That's the
I'll
Craftsman.
never lose a 10mm socket again.
That's the Craftsman spline, Craftsman, gear wrench, Duralast, Mac tools. What one's that? Oh, that's Evercraft from Napa. That's a Craftsman, Duralast, Husky gear wrench, SK, Snap-on, DeWalt, Craftsman, DeWalt. Yeah, that's I don't ever lose a 10 mil either. But
Usually, how I get my tools is I either find them, someone gives them to me for like Christmas, birthday, someone buys them for me, or find them, or I forget, or I borrow someone's tool, forget to give it back to them, and never give it back. Or my dad gets a tool and he doesn't want it, so he gives it to me.
nothing wrong with that. The first tools I used my dad's tools growing up until I
My
could.
first set of tools, we went to Walmart and grabbed one off the shelf and just said, "Here, that works." Because I had to work on my mini bike. Because first thing I ever bought was my red Coleman mini bike I got.
Yeah, I saw that in one of your videos.
Yeah, I still have it and it still runs. I just don't have any gas to put in it to drive it. I drive it all the time. I mostly just
Pretty much like
drive around the
anytime I
neighborhood
get
with
like fuel for something, anytime I get fuel for like one of my tractors, I produce the 90 octane recreational fuel, aka non-ethanol fuel.
We have
I just put pump gas and everything. I don't care. As long as it makes it run, I just use it.
I try to use 87 non-ethanol, but every now and then I got to put an 89 ethanol in it. Honestly, the way that most of my engine and carburetors work, I really can't tell the difference between the two these days.
Actually, I let one of my neighbor's kids drive my little budget go-kart. I let him drive it every once in a while, but every time I let him drive it, they make the tire get bald, so I have to replace the tire again. Because it's just got little tiny 5-inch tires on it, and it's got a big engine, or it had a big engine, so it would always smoke the tire everywhere it went. And he offered just to fill up my tank, and I think he put like 97 or something in it. But I smoked my friend's go-kart on it down the street, and all I did was I turned the screw out some, a little bit less than stock on it, the throttle screw on the Predator 212. Turned it out a little bit, and it had that, whatever that gas is. I don't know what he put in it, but I just know it was flying, man. It was spinning tire down the street and smoking the tire off. So that's why it's sitting in my backyard without a tire on it.
Yeah, I mean, I like the 90 octane recreational fuel because around here, there's about 20 different gas stations in Michigan that officially have 90 rec fuel. I know usually if I put it on like sometimes like my older carbureted tractors, sometimes they really like that 90 octane non-ethanol.
Mhm.
It's a little pricey
Um,
here. That's almost like 270 or 289 a gallon for like 90 octane, or maybe $3. I think our 87 is like 229. I think a gallon. It's pretty cheap.
Oh yeah, Stacy says hi.
Hey, Twisted.
hello, Stacy, or whatever.
Yeah, Twist Star Racing.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not subscribed to Twisted R Racing, he's a good one. He does a lot of live streams that pull in a lot of people, like not just like horse, but a bunch of, well, Robert, sorry, I call them horses, but a lot of small engine people that like go karts and gone fishing. He does a lot of stuff.
Yep. Then there's Brandon,
Yep,
Craig, and Kathy.
yep.
I actually made a friend in Texas through a go kart forum I'm on, DIY go kart forum. He, I guess he's crazy for flatheads, and he's like, I think he's 13 or 14. He has a bird engineering go kart. It's the Phoenix that he's restoring himself, his first go kart, and it's got a 5 horsepower Briggs on it that he basically completely rebuilt the carb and everything, and he knows everything about it, like literally down to the finest detail. He knows everything about that go kart.
Very cool.
He could probably talk for hours about just that one go kart, and I could probably talk for hours just about 2 of my go karts.
Yeah, no, I have a 5-horse flathead. I've been meaning to find a mini bike frame to put it on.
Yeah, I just put a flathead on my budget go kart instead of a Predator.
But if I do build a mini bike and put the flathead on it, I'm not going to run a muffler. I think I'm just going to dump with straight pipe.
Oh yeah, you gotta have a straight pipe on a Briggs. You can't have a muffled Briggs. That's just something you can't have, man.
Yeah,
Once you
$10 a gallon is
experience-
pretty pricey there, Stacy.
I had to buy a sticker because it was just perfect. I was at a truck show and I bought 2 stickers. One built not bought, and the other was loud pipe save lives. And that loud pipe save lives is perfect for that go kart. It's gonna be loud and proud. The only problem is the Briggs is green. Someone spray painted it bright green.
Yeah, mine was like white and like a mix of white and blue from the person I got from, and I repainted it black, but the paint's starting to chip. So I think if I do a nice mini bike build, what I'll probably do is take that Briggs, strip all the black paint off of it, and do a nice white paint job with black fasteners.
Oh yeah. What I was gonna do is I was gonna strip all the paint off and just clear coat it with like a heavy duty clear coat. And
get like a satin
down
clear
there.
and make it a nice deep color. Do a nice deep satin clear.
Yeah, I was just gonna strip every single bit of paint off it, the cover and all, and just clear coat it and have that metal finish.
Yeah.
Because I think with the dark metallic blue go kart, that would look awesome. And maybe like put some rivets or something just as decorations, just to make it look a little bit cooler. So I'm really going
Stacy
for like
says I built a 20 horse.
Really cool.
Twisted said I built a 20 horse OP engine. Dial says it's 87 horsepower.
Wow.
That's quite a bit of power for an OP.
The only engine I've ever opened up, I've opened up 2 engines, and that was in a barn because they both didn't run and they both had really big problems. One was a 196 mini bike engine from one of the Baja bikes because so many things were broken on it and beat up. I just wanted to see what it looked like inside in person. Everything's a lot smaller in person than what you expect from watching videos on YouTube and stuff about them. Like everything's so tiny in them. And then I also opened up a 8-horse Briggs, but I only took the head off. I didn't do anything else. I just want to see how bad the cylinder was. And it was not horrible, but it was pretty dirty inside there. Like, it probably should have been clean, but I got rid of both of them pretty fast.
Here's an interesting article. It popped up on my Facebook feed. Duke, the mascot of Bush's Baked Beans, loses battle with cancer.
Oh no. That sucks. Is there a way I can, like, put a picture up?
Oh yeah, screen share.
I'm on a
Like
phone.
right
so I
on,
don't
like
know
right
if
on your menu, it should have a thing in this, like in this, like in this. It should have something that says share screen, and you have to have the photo up. But you click that photo, and whatever it shows for like that photo, like the link is for it, you click on that, and it'll project it on the screen.
Okay, so I know my phone, it can do like I know my phone can do a special thing. If I disconnect, just know I'm I can like
Yeah.
use my phone to open 2 tabs on it.
And they're upgraded to the previous model. So now we're about a year behind, waiting to see if we get another
I'm
snap-on
trying to figure this out. So I know it can do it.
or Maxi system all-tel scan tool, which works out great.
Hey, Robert, I got to get going. My wife is wanting me to do some things. So appreciate meeting you tonight and everybody. Oh, you lost him.
Yep, he said he was gonna have to do something on his phone quick. So
No problem. Well, appreciate letting me join. Have a good one. Man, you made it almost 2.5 hours.
Yep.
Keep up the good work.
Yep. Yeah, I think I'm gonna run it until about 11:30. I'm gonna run it as long as I can.
Not a problem. Talk to you later, man.
Yep. Talk to you later.
Bye.
I think I did it. I just don't know how to share it. How do I? There's a way you can do it. Come on.
Yeah, if you hit share screen, like
It isn't
list of things that
showing
are like
it.
on your screen, you can share.
Do I gotta do that? I don't know how to do it. Do I have to be on a computer to do it?
I think so.
If I do, I could go get my computer, but it's upstairs, so I probably won't. Well, I can technically just set my profile picture as that. But that's the go-kart. It's my profile picture on here.
See you, Twisted. Nope. See you later, Twisted.
Do you know how to fix a well, I put a drum brake on that go-kart because it had the scrub brakes, right?
Right.
And those just aren't safe, especially when only one side works and the other one has like a redneck handle on it. So I just put a drum brake on there and I drilled a hole in the engine plate and I got to move it back, but for some reason it still won't work. It'll sometimes grab on, but it won't always because it just like slips off the side. Is that something to do with spacing, or do I need to do something else?
Oh, like the linkage for that pulls on the drum.
Yeah, because there's quite a bit of space between the engine plate and the drum itself.
I honestly have no clue.
I wish I could post a picture of it. Let's see if I can do it in the chat.
I don't think it'll allow you to do it in the chat.
Thing. Oh, there we go. There's the chat.
I mean, I was gonna try and run the stream 3 hours, but pretty much everybody's cleared out, so I think we're just gonna cut it off a little over 2.5.
Yeah, I gotta go to bed, so you can go ahead and cut it off if you want.
Yeah, I figured I'd just wait until you got off the panel and I'd cut it off and be done.
Oh, here, I can leave. I'm done anyways.
Yeah, maybe next Friday you can pull up your laptop and we can actually look at some photos so you can share your screen.
Hey, I don't have anything to do next Friday. Might as well. What time are you starting?
8:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
Hey guys, it's been a fun little over 2.5 hours. I was hoping for 3, but not enough people here, and I don't feel like going another 3 hours when there's not really anybody here to keep the stream going. So I'll see you on the next one. Peace.